Well, I hope you're ready for some unindoctrination. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, coming to you from the heartland of America. Ready to rock and roll and bring you some great information, folks. And tonight at 8 p.m., just a couple hours from now, we'll have an expansive, not a revelation, because revelations you don't get from study, but a discovery of tremendous import, which changes everything that we know and thought we know about the script, which of course is the scriptures. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. Glad to have you here. Today, we're going to pick up on our studies of Caesar's Messiah, and we're going to show you how Jesus was invented. That's right. Plastic Jesus is not real. He's invented. And you need that high consciousness on demand. You need that focused life force energy in your area to be able to grasp all of these ideas on a much easier basis. Go to jeffreydaugherty.com, click on that whoosh, you'll know it when you see it, and you can get 30 days for free, but even better, just get it for a great price. When you live in a high consciousness environment, it automatically helps you be more high consciousness, and it will change your life. So let's go right into our study today. A little bit of a brief study. We had a nice cousins club earlier today, sort of brief, but very on point. This one will be the same. And what we'll do is we're going to look at the demoniac of Gadara. You know who that guy is. That's the guy that supposedly plastic Jesus shows up on the island. And this guy is up in the tombs cutting himself with stones. And they've got him bound. But every day he comes down, he breaks his chains. And, of course, plastic Jesus, for some reason, sends the demons that are in him into the swine. What a weird story. How many times have you asked yourself, why would plastic Jesus send the demons into swine? Why? It doesn't make sense. But it does make sense when you understand it, and why it was written, and how it was written, and what it truly represents. Brenda says the poor pigs. Don't worry, Brenda. No pigs were harmed in the filming of this episode, and I guarantee you no pigs were harmed in the filming of the original episode, because it did not really happen. We're coming from Caesar's Messiah by Joseph Atwill, and we're going to talk about the demon of Gadara. Now, Christianity, and this is, whenever you see the capitals that are italicized, that's Joe's words, Joe Atwill's words. Christianity had been created to be a calamity upon the limbs. It was created to be a calamity upon the limbs by the Romans. Now, there's numerous parallels between the storyline of the plastic Jesus character and his quote-unquote ministry and Titus's campaign through Judea. You got to understand, the real story of the New Testament, the real story of Jesus, plastic Jesus, is that it's really Titus. And the ministry of plastic Jesus is really the campaign of Titus through Judea. And as you get to see it, you can't unsee it. We've talked before about the fishers of men. Well, here we go with another one. Among these stories, among these parallels between Titus and plastic Jesus, was a similar circumstance near the town called Gadara. Each synoptic gospel tells this story. Now, we never go past a word that we don't understand. There's so much to get into you. Christianity hinges upon making people go past words they don't understand. There's 3 words in the script that you don't understand, but you think you do, and then make sure that you can never get what it really means. Christ, gospel, and serpent. Those 3 words don't mean what you think they mean. And at 8 p.m. tonight, I'm going to start showing you what they do mean and start showing you how Christianity is the greatest psyop ever perpetrated upon humanity. There's nothing good about Christianity. There's nothing redeeming about Christianity. There's nothing real about Christianity. It's a psyop to keep you in a fear and guilt control matrix. And you're too afraid to come to that conclusion because you don't have the guts and you won't study and you want to remain willfully ignorant. It is MK Ultra, exactly, as Tracy chimes in. Now, what is a synoptic gospel? Well, that's Matthew, Mark, Luke. Matthew, Mark, and Luke. Those are the synoptic gospels because they include all of the same stories and they tell them basically in the same sequence and with identical wording. So they're synoptic. They kind of put everything together. They put it together in the same way. So now you know what the word synoptic means. And they stand in contrast to the Gospel of John. And the word gospel, I'll just give you a little preview. The word gospel never existed until the imperial cult of Rome invented this word. And the gospel is the most important thing in Christianity. The gospel, the gospel, the gospel. We got to have the gospel. You know what gospel means? And it never was a word until the Roman imperial cult invented it. And that word means to tell of the good news of the conquest of Caesar. There you are preaching the gospel, you poor, silly Christian that doesn't know you're ignorant, but now you're not. It means that you are celebrating the victories of your captors. That's what gospel means. It wasn't a word until the Roman imperial cult made it. And now you continue to use it like that guy on, what was that, Princess Bride? I don't think that means what you think it means. It doesn't. And we'll get into that a little bit tonight, but more even on tomorrow. So those are the synoptic gospels. And how interesting it is when Plastic Jesus calls out this demon, right? Supposedly. And isn't it interesting that the demon chooses to describe himself and his cohorts as a component of the Roman army? We are legion. A legion is a component of a Roman army. Squads, legions, squadrons, I don't know what they called them, but legion was a component. In the Air Force, we had flights, we had squadrons, we had wings. Well, it's interesting that the demon, if you believe in demons, that this demon decided that he was going to use Roman terminology. Really interesting that demons choose to use Roman terminology. Could it be that Romans wrote it? And that's why the quote-unquote demons they write about have and use Roman terminology. Joe Atwell reminds us that the fishers of men story, I'll make you fishers of men, that's when the Romans were spearing limbs in the water and killing them. And that's when Jesus used the same place, the same idiom to talk about being fishers of men. So Joe Atwell reminds us of that story happening at an exact place and it being a dark parody of an action, a specific action that Titus took. Now we see Plastic Jesus duplicating another action that Titus took. And they are completely the same. You can't argue away from them unless you choose to ignore history. So the same use of irony and Roman terminology moved Atwell to look for similar linkages in Josephus's histories that might hint at a Gadara incident. And it didn't take much looking because it was very, very, very plain, ladies and gentlemen. Vespasian's very first assault in his Judean conquest was on the city of Gadara. Think about that. The first conquest was in the city of Gadara, and the city was held by rebels. Not these kind of rebels. We're the good rebels with a rebel yell, but it was held by rebels, and they were rebels that were rebelling against Rome. Maybe they're good rebels, I don't know. But they were rebels, and they held this city. And then Vespasian, who was Titus's dad, marched against Gadara. And the rebels, being outnumbered, tried to flee. And a group of them did escape, and they encamped in a nearby town, and they were pursued and they were cut off, and they acted like the wildest of beasts. They were cutting themselves. They were stabbing each other. They went crazy, just like they were demonic, just like they were demonized. And Titus's army drove them to the Jordan River, the banks of the Jordan River, the brink and the banks of the Jordan River itself. And so many of them were wounded and tried to get in the river and swim away, but died there. So many of them tried to get into the water to get away and were killed there by Romans. So many bodies of these Gadarenes were wounded and dead in the river that it was impossible to cross the river because the multitude of corpses filling it. They blocked off the river, and they made it such a mess that you couldn't even go across the river if you wanted to. Just like those pigs allegedly that ran into the river and drowned themselves. You can see the complete correlation and the perfect analogy between the two. But wait, there's more. Josephus also described the rebels that were at Gadara. He described them as too small for an army, but too many for a gang. It sounds like a group of Antifa people, doesn't it? Josephus says they were too small for an army, too many for a gang. And interestingly, the Romans just happened to have the exact word for such a cadre of men, and it's called a legion. In both stories, both the New Testament story and the story in histories written by Josephus, talk about the massive drowning of 2,000. 2,000 pigs that Plastic Jesus, cast demons into and ran down the hill into the muddy Jordan and killed themselves, or 2,000, as you will see, of the Sicarii rebels that also ran down into the Jordan and drowned themselves. Wow. Both stories end with a massive drowning of 2,000 people. In the New Testament story, demons infect pigs. In Josephus's story, the Sicarii rebels infect the surrounding townspeople into rebelling against Rome. It's a perfect analogy. And both 2,000 Sicarii, 2,000 pigs, they both wind up drowning themselves in the same water. Folks, this is called an analogy. This is called, it's just plain to see, and I don't understand why you want to fight against this. Now, the Romans did allow a small number of people to escape. Why? Because they wanted them to go tell all the other people what was coming if they did not surrender to Rome. And then, just like the people in the New Testament story who began publishing in Decapolis what had happened, these people the Romans allowed to escape went and told other people about the gospel of the coming of the mighty Roman army, the man who was soon to be named Caesar, Vespasian. And if you read in the in this actual gospel story, it talks about how there many great things were being done for the people. And the Romans described their campaign into Judea as doing great things for people. They were just trying to help out. They were just trying to civilize these fools. They're just trying to bring them under Rome. All people that are trying to conquer think they're doing people a favor. At least they want to tell them that. Folks, they were just trying to help them. Don't you know? Can't you tell? They were very nice, and they just wanted to help these poor people out. This is why they were trying to give them more information and bring them into Rome and make them full captives of the Roman nation. It's an analogy. It's the same story. It's the campaign of Titus being told with the Plastic Jesus character as Titus, and everything that Titus did, Plastic Jesus is also doing. And obviously it was written so that people that were there at that time understood the joke. Oh, They're making a joke about Jesus being Titus and Titus. Oh, I get it. Now we don't get it because we don't study. We don't read. All we do is sit and watch what people on YouTube tell us. That's wrong. You need to check out what you're being told. You need to check out what you're being sold. And one of these days, one of these cowards might summon up the courage to debate me on some of these subjects, although I doubt it very, very much. Let's go to the chat room real quickly. What do we got here? Maka says this is their first time here. Been watching past vids the last few days. Starting to feel engrossed for the first time in years. Thank you, Maka, for watching. And thank you for being here. We appreciate your visit for sure. Do type or tap that like button. It helps push the videos through the algorithms and get more views. Of course, Jama's here. Her eyes and ears open. I hope so. Cynthia's here and Tracy's here. Lots of great people here. We appreciate so very much. Brandon says I get better with every video. Appreciate that, Brandon. Really do. Swampside Chick. Ryan's here. Hope he's feeling much better. Brenda, worried about the pigs. I appreciate that. Pigs are kind of cute if they're not all smelly and stuff. Is Bluebeam next? Maybe. Maybe it is. Laura's here. Glad that she caught one live. I am too. Dylan's going to put us on TV once he hits the lottery. I hope you hit one of those, Dylan. I really do. Joe makes the good point of being religion. I think that's definitely worthy of being of pointing out. Jacob got a little timeout, but that's okay. That's okay. Laura likes Joe Atwill, and he is very, very good. Saw something interesting that while all roads are leading to Rome, the place that holds the blueprints of Earth. I don't know what that means. Ryan says he is feeling better. And he does have an appointment, and our thoughts are with him there. And the nice thing about this, if you come in late, you can just rewind it. And it is a red pill for sure. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeff. Always knew that story was bogus somehow. It just has the feeling of being bogus. It's a weird story. And like Tracy says, it's very, very easy to predict after the fact. And if you don't know, the Gospels were all written around 100, and they backdated them to AD 70 and on. And it's easy. It's easy to make predictions when the predictions have already happened. Foster Kid says, what God do you mostly compare to Jesus? Not sure what the question means, but there's probably 50 other gods that are exactly like Jesus, plastic Jesus. And of course, none of them are real. At best, they are tulpe. So, interesting stuff. Something to consider, something to keep in mind, and just another nail in the coffin of big-time religion, which is nothing but a fear and guilt control network. And coming up in just an hour and 40 minutes, we have a blockbuster, the hidden secret, ladies and gentlemen, of the serpent in Scripture. This changes everything. Make sure you're here at 8 p.m. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, your in-laws, your outlaws. Let everybody know this is going to be a powerful, powerful presentation. We'll see you at 8 p.m. And in the interim, thanks to Tracy Dyer and all of our great moderators, 8:15. Thank you. It is 8:15. 8:15 Central Time, just like we always are, 8:15 Central Time. And we'll see you for more on indoctrination. Until then, keep asking questions, keep questioning answers. You are the last generation of real humans, and it's time for us to unindoctrinate ourselves.